Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Welcome to my Tuesday Stampin' Chat. Beginning a new round today. Let me just check I'm live in the right place and then just head over and share this to my group. So just bear with me while we wait for some people to come in. Always click the wrong button. The brain doesn't go into action. There we go. Okay, all sent over. A couple of you here already. Please do say hello if you're joining. I would much appreciate a share on your personal page. It just means that more people get to see what I'm doing. Grid paper's a bit out of line there, but I think we'll be fine with that. Might just tilt you really slowly, briefly. How are we? Oh, do you know, it's just started raining here. So we've still got snow on the ground. It's still quite icy out there where the snow is kind of compact. Bit grey, bit chilly, even though the temperatures are up. This damp cold is just not as fun, is it? It's a frosty, dry cold, so... Who's joining me today? So, welcome to round 5. Can't believe we're on round 5 already. We have delayed this one a little bit due to problems with Brexit and deliveries just not getting here in a timely manner. So problems with customs and UPS, backlog of deliveries, updates of systems, UPS can't keep on top of tracking, and it's kind of all over the shop at the minute. But do you know what? We will get there. We will survive. We're just waiting eagerly for our products to come. So mine were saying they were going to, I was hoping to have some on Thursday, but it's now looking like some of them are moving to Friday, which I think is at the 29th. So yeah, just waiting, just being patient, just sitting tight and hoping that it all comes soon. So I am apologising on behalf of everybody who has shopped online with me or placed orders with me direct. Your stuff is coming, it's on its way. As soon as it's here, I will get it packed up out to you, along with all the kits that are waiting for product to pop inside the boxes as well. So this morning, this round of Stampin' Chat focuses on the Floating and Fluttering stamp set. There is also a die set that goes with it, the Fluttering dies. Let me bring them in and show you because they're such a great set. So here they are. Got 10 dies in this set. Got a nice Alfie hair stuck to that one. And I love that you've got 2 of this die here, which cuts out this stamped image because this is all one stamp. You're going to see me using that. So I absolutely love that because it just speeds up the whole process of creating a project. Now you can see here the price of the dies. They are available when you buy them as a bundle. You will save 10%, and that's always a really good option to go with. This die I use a lot. I just think it's a really nice frame, and I love this butterfly that embosses and this little set of leaves as well, which we are using this one today. So those who took part in this round, morning Sue, you've had your Iceland delivery. Okay, you can put it away and relax and enjoy listening. That's fabulous. I'm glad to hear that you're able to join us. So I was just running through the dies there. Now, people had the option to order the dies along with this kit. But the basic kit included the stamps and the Seaside Spray ink pad. Now, I'm going to apologise ahead of time because mine is running a little dry. I do have an ink refill on order, but like with everything else, it hasn't quite got here yet. So my Seaside Spray stamping is going to be a little bit pale today. And I'm doing 2-step stamping because this is a 2-step stamp set. And if you're not sure what that means, basically we use more than one stamp to build up an image. So this butterfly here, you can add a background colour to it with this, or I'm looking for the other one, it's right underneath it. This one here, which I'm going to use today, you can add on top of here and then apply it to here as well. So you'll see me use that, and hopefully that will explain how it works. So that was what's included. I also popped in a little sponge wedge because they're so handy just for adding a bit of depth to a project. Now, if you want to join in, if you've got something similar, I'm using a Memento black ink pad as well, just for my greeting. And there, as you can tell, there are no greetings included in this set. So you will need to find some words or sentiments, but you can always add those in later. I know a lot of you don't pop anything on your card until you're ready to send it. And that's quite often a good idea, especially on the inside as well, on the insert. You can always decide what you're doing. So the other thing I included was a selection of the paper Blooms DSP. Look at this, guys. It is beautiful. I've shared it with you before. So this is a Celebration free item. Let's just turn it over and you can see the other side. So we have sort of more, oh, what's the word? They're not so floral, they're more just like a pattern. Aren't they stunning? Absolutely love these. Morning, Belle. How are you doing? As we all say, don't worry about being late. It's just nice to have you here. It's always nice to be joined. I think this sheet is my absolute favourite. Maybe because it's sort of pale pink, but I also love these the white background sheets as well. And you can fussy cut if you like me and you love a bit of fussy cutting. And believe me, I've been doing a lot of that lately. I'm going to share some with you later. But I absolutely love cutting around. And these are all images. A lot of these, I mean, these you can fussy cut out. They would be brilliant. And if you're fussy cutting around these flowers, don't throw this bit away. You could die cut little circles or shapes and like tuck them behind layers as well. So don't waste any of it. They're just stunning. Absolutely stunning. So those papers are free. They are in the Celebration brochure. So if you spend £45, you can choose products from here for free. And they're right on the beginning page. And I love this page. I love the colours in there. It's so inspiring. So that's the paper Blooms. Now I've lost my page of the other thing I was going to show you. So let's make a start and bring in the card. Okay, I don't need those papers for the time being. So this is our first card. It's quite sweet and simple. There's nothing complex about this one whatsoever. And to be honest, this is screaming out to be stepped up. So you can layer up your butterflies. You can add more butterflies. You can stamp leaves. I've included die cuts just because of the concern of those doing this may not actually have a green ink. So I wanted to make sure that when I pop everything in your kits that you can always complete a card with the products that you've got. And obviously you've got the stamps included. If you haven't got the dies, these are fine to fussy cut around. They're pretty simple shapes for you to follow along. So this is our first card. We've got Soft Sea Foam, Night of Navy, Seaside Spray, a bit of Old Olive and some Rococo Rose. So all the colours that are in the DSP. Now I'm going to try and zoom you in a little bit. We were chuckling about this last night, weren't we, Belle? About the whole Zoom process. Because last week I gave you all a nice view of my ceiling and my air conditioning unit. And where I held onto my phone on the left, I clicked the reverse camera button. Yeah, so we learn from our mistakes, don't we? Let's grab in some tools. I've got a nice brand new Tombow today. I've got two still on the go, but I've got to keep flicking them to get the glue. They're upside down, and believe me, even though they feel like they're empty, there's still some left in there, so they won't be going. in the bin until they are completely empty. So pull out if you are catching me on replay, because I appreciate most of you haven't got your product to do these kits with me now. So if you're watching on the replay, you will need a Whisper White base, and you can tell this apart from the scrap piece I gave you because I usually score it. I'm hoping I have done this time. You've got an insert. We've got a front layer of soft seafoam, a piece of Seaside Spray, another piece of Night of Navy, and a skinny strip of Rococo Rose. Mine's a lot thicker, but that makes no difference. You may have a skinny bit, it just depends. Quite often I end up with pieces like this in my scrap bag and I just pull them out and use them. So those are your pieces. You will need some scrap Whisper White. Just set all of those to one side. I've got some scrap pieces here of Whisper White, Seaside Spray, and Old Olive. Now you won't have the Old Olive because I've already die cut your little leaves for you. So let's bring in my foam mat and begin. I've cut a new piece of grid. I have ordered some of the grid paper that goes with the Stamparatus. Morning, Jacqueline. How are you, my lovely? How are you doing? It's tough times, isn't it, guys? Everybody I'm speaking to is... I'm just going to bring that back in so Jacqueline can see what we're doing. Everyone is struggling at the moment. Everyone I speak to is finding it a little bit tough. And I think a lot of it is to do with the time of the year. You know, January, I think, can always be a bit of a tricky month after Christmas. It's kind of... You feel a bit kind of like a bit let down after the season. And even though the festive season wasn't as it normally is... I still think it's a bit of a like, oh, what have we got to look forward to? And I think it's cold, it's damp, there's no real desire to go and muddle about in the garden. And I think, you know, it's tough, it's hard for us all. And do you know what? I'm so thankful that I can pull out my stamping stuff, take my mind off of everything and keep myself occupied. And I hope that you guys can do that too. And I hope that you get a little bit of joy from listening to me waffling on over here in my studio all on my own. So, but I love to be here and I love to have you with me. So this is the card. Let's bring in some scraps of white and do some stamping. I think I need quite a big piece. Oops, I couldn't pick my block up then. So I've mounted this stamp, which is slightly stained. That's totally fine. This is the butterfly one I was talking to you about, all on one stamp, photopolymer. So having a foam mat is going to help you get a better image when you're stamping. And I love that it stamps all of these in one go because I always end up, I've got some on my desk here, that I was cutting from, always end up with spare bits and I just put them to one side, and then when I need to create a card I go to that little box with all my spare bits in and I just pull something out and I've instantly got a card. So obviously I did that one in, I think, Old Olive because I wanted the green leaves, so I was left with green butterflies, which maybe you might not want a green butterfly on your card, but I think it will be fine. Okay, now as I said, my Seaside Spray ink is running really dry. So I'm going to try and get as much on here as I can. And my central. So I'm just going to give this a jolly good ink. I do really only want the big butterfly on here. But I'm going to stamp them all. Will it fit that way? No, we do it like that. And then I can use the other pieces on another project later. Can you see it's very pale? It should be, those of you with your lovely new ink pads, it should be a lot darker than that. But I still wanted to use mine today for the sake of the video. And my light is quite bright, so looking at my Mac, it looks even paler than it actually is in real life. So, Jacqueline, you're okay. your fibro's playing up a bit. Oh, and you're waiting for your painkillers to kick in. Bless you. Do you know, I was awake, talking of lying in bed. The owl decided to start talking this morning at 3:39 a.m. and it woke me up. I mean, it was lovely to hear it, and thankfully I wasn't awake for too long. I did manage to get back off to sleep, but I was quite tired when I woke up this morning, and we got up a bit earlier because Jason wanted to leave for work a bit earlier because the road out of here is flooded. So he has to do a detour, and there can quite often get a bit of heavy traffic on the detour. So he decided he was going to go a bit earlier this morning. So I've been awake and working from first thing. So this funny looking stamp, let's bring in a bit of white here, just so you can see if that's focusing. This is part of the two-step situation. And probably in an ideal world, you might want to ink it in a contrasting colour or a darker tone, whatever the right word would be. But for the sake of the Stampin' Chat and only including one ink pad, I wanted you to see that you can, you know, add different colours, different depths by stamping off. Now, in the ideal world, if my ink would have been, if my ink pad would have had plenty of ink in it, when you stamp off, you will get a good second generation colour, but I'm not going to get that with mine until my ink refill arrives, which I've got my fingers crossed will be at the end of the week, if not early next week. Now, all I'm going to do is line this one over, and I cannot see a thing, and just stamp it down. And can you see it puts some little dots? I'm really tempted, for the sake of today, I'm just going to ink up this, just the butterfly. So I'm just going to ink up this butterfly because I don't want to waste any more Whisper White cardstock. Let's find this scrap, and I'm going to go over it in the Night of Navy, just so that you can see how different it looks. Just clean that one quickly. Now this is where you'll see if I don't line it up very well. It's quite tricky from my angle. I can't see at all. Let's just guesstimate there. Doesn't that look beautiful? And if you imagine that the other way round, if you had a darker outline and then you filled in with the pale, that's what I should have done maybe, is stamped the butterfly. But I didn't want to use, I could have used that today, but I wanted to just use my one ink pad for the sake of the Stampin' Chat, because obviously that's what I've given you guys to create these projects with. Next, I need you will need from your stamp set, this lovely frame here. So you need to pull that one out. Now, I find it needs quite a large block, an E block. Let's see if it will fit on a D. Have I got a D handy? It might be a bit of a squash on a D block, but if you have the Stamparatus and you don't have a block big enough for anything, then of course, you know, you can use that. Let's just ink. Really worried about how much light is coming down. And this new light I had for Christmas is great, but I'm wondering whether it is too light. So I'm just going to ink up that frame. And then the only other bit of stamping, which I think we'll come to after, would be our greeting on the front. So we can run this through the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, the Mini Boss, which is its short versioned name. Now you're not going to be able to see this, and I'm probably not going to roll this through under my camera because it will rock my table like crazy. Let's get a bit of washi tape. But if I show you the process, so it lines in lovely. Just stick that down like that. Pop the top plates in, and then we'll roll it through. We'll just see if we get... The problem being that because I'm on my grid paper, and it makes it look like it's hard work, but because I'm on my grid paper, it moves it. So I'm going to do it from behind because it's not hard work to run this through. But because it's moving about, it makes it look like it's hard work to use this machine. I just love this. And then look how this comes out. Don't want to tear that butterfly. Look at that. And you've got all those other pieces left to do something else with. We do have to like manually trim around these. Just pop that bit of washi tape here because there is the die that also cuts out at this one. So we'll line that one in. I'll be honest, I quite often just fussy cut around this one. I don't know if that's me being lazy, even though my mini box is usually next to me on my desk. Just running that one through. Cuts lovely and clean. And then we need some leaves. So a little bit of old olive cardstock because it's in our papers. I'm going to tape that one down just so it doesn't move and just run that one through quickly. I do actually, I'm going to confess, I love this die. I love everything. You hear me say that all the time. But our products are just so great. Come off. Put you to one side. Look at that. Aren't they sweet? They are just the cutest leaves. And then we just push them out through the little holes in the dies. Or you could just like drop your die down onto the table. Quite often they fall out that way. So they're all out. One got a stray there. So that's that one here. Beautiful, I love that. I do use that quite a lot. What else do we need to do? Let's do our greeting that I've put on. And then we can save the insert bit for after. So I've used, which I've been using a lot, I'm really just trying to focus on a couple of core products, especially when I do the Stampin' Chat, because I don't want you to have to, you know, think that you need 1,000,001 things. So I use this, pick this stamp set up all the time. And I'm going to use this little thank you ever so much. You know that I've cut mine up, guys. I don't need to tell you that story again. And a little block. And I'm going to stamp it down straight onto some Seaside spray. And I'm going to use some Memento black ink, just because it won't stand up very well if I use Seaside spray. Now, if you have Night of Navy, that would work lovely. I would say use that, but I know a lot of you have Memento black ink. So let's just ink that one up. It's caught down there a little bit, but that's not going to show when I cut. and this is the pitfall. How many times do I keep saying to you guys, I need to trim around the edge of my rubber? And then I clean them, they go back in my box. And then I don't trim them. Until the next time I use them, I'm like, I should have trimmed those. So, with this stamp set, we've got the coordinating messages die. I've got a little star left in there. And again, I use this a lot. I think this is just a good product on its own. And I'm going to use this little one down here. So I'm just lining it in so it's central. Grab that bit of washi tape back, and I'm just going to run that through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So obviously that one won't fit. Such a noisy die, it's got so many edges to cut. Obviously this doesn't fit in the mini machine, so there is only a certain amount of dies that do work with it, but I will say there are a lot of stamps that coordinate with dies that will work in the mini machine. And of course we have some fabulous skinny embossing folders too. So there's my little greeting. I'm going to pop that to one side. Right, let's get sticking things together. Now, let's start with a card base. So my card bases. Morning Ruth, how are you doing? Are you warm enough? Are you all tucked up nice and cosy? I'm going to turn the heating up a notch over in here today. And my hands get cold. This is what happens. Am I in focus? I went out of focus then for a minute. I can just see on the catch-up. So when I cut a base, our cardstock is just over 11 3/4 by 8 1/4, and I always cut it. So from an A4 sheet, I cut it at 5 3/4, and then I keep that at 8 1/4. So it's 5 3/4 by 8 1/4. Some people tend to, where's my bone folder? Snip it off at 8 to make it 4. But I like this, I like it to be as big as it can be, really. Ruth, you've got a blanket wrapped around your legs. You need a cat on your lap. Yeah, I know. Alfie's pretty good, actually. He quite often sits on your feet. Those of you that have been here or been to my classes where Alfie is, you'll know that he comes and sits around by your feet. And it does help. It does offer a bit of warmth. Oh, I've got an inky mark on there. How did I do that? I'm going to have to use the emergency side. Must have ink on my fingers. I've done it again. Okay, so do you know what happens? When this happens, this becomes the inside of our card, because we're going to stick an insert over that piece. And I'm just going to grab a wet wipe and wipe my hands, because whatever I've got on there is transferring to my Whisper White. And we don't want fingerprints everywhere, do we, guys? Okay, let's give that another crease and hope that the hands are clean. Right, first layer we are using, so these are our pieces, is this lovely soft seafoam layer. And that just goes centrally down on our card. Now I'm looking at that and it looks bigger than 5 3/4. I'm saying that because when I put my layer on, it doesn't look equal. So I'm just going to snip that one. Like that. That's better. So I'm going to pop that layer. I'm not going to pop that layer on yet because we need to add our DSP. So I have used this sheet here, and I'm just going to measure what size you need to cut. But of course you can use whatever you want. So I've used a piece 3 1/4 by 2. So I'm going to just pop this in my trimmer, cut it at 2, and then cut it at 3 3/4. Like so. And then those other pieces can go back in the bag for next time. So that should be the same width as your soft seafoam layer. So we're not going to stick those down just for a moment. We can pull your little rectangle of seaside spray, and this measures 3 1/2 by 3. And you need to grab your little sponge wedge. So I'm going to tell you now, I've got my welly bobs on. If anybody doesn't know what welly bobs are, they're kind of, when you live in the country, you know, Wellington boots are like an everyday, occasional dress item, especially in the winter or on a wet day. And welly bobs are like little cut-off Wellingtons. And I just find over here in the studio, because I don't keep it heated up to the max all of the time, because I just feel it's a waste of energy when it's just little old me coming over here. So it's not freezing cold in here by any means. When you come up the stairs and walk in, you can feel the heat. But when you're sitting, you do get a bit cold after a while, a bit like even when you're in the house and the heating's on, and the coldness just kind of gets to you. And with me, the cold gets into, once it gets into my bones, it takes me a while to get warm again. So I've got these little welly bobs on that I've been wearing over here for a little bit. They've got fur lining in, and they just keep my feet nice and toasty. I was wearing some, I suppose I could describe them to be like espadrilles that I used to wear from here over to the house. Obviously not on a wet day, but I just felt they didn't really keep my feet very warm. So, but I love my little welly bobs, and it just means I can slip them on and off when I'm dashing over to the house to get something. So this little layer, what have I done with my ruler? Measure it again. 3 1/2 by 3. And we're going to take our ink, and I've just gone around the edge to give this layer a bit of depth. Now, if you've got a blending brush, you could add a lovely bit of depth to this layer. So talking of warmth, I have to keep telling my little 4-legged fur baby to get on his bed, because he lies under my desk by my feet. He's moving now. Do you know, they know when you're talking about them. They just know. And so I'm always saying to him, go and lie on your bed, go and lie on your bed, because it's obviously warmer, it's fluffy and warm, but it's like he just wants to be right by me. If I move, he moves. So I'm just adding, hope you can see this, like a nice bit of depth around the edge. And this just kind of helps this layer to pop a bit. Okay, I think that's enough. And if you had the blending brush, I'll just grab one so you know what I'm talking about. So these are our new blending brushes. So if you had one of these, you could just add a bit of depth that way as well. I think today I'm going to pop my layers a bit higher because my card is quite flat. So let us begin and stick these layers. Just checking that smudge on the inside if my insert is going to cover it. Oops. It's rubbing out, so it makes me think that it wasn't ink. I just lost a leaf under there. Okay, we can pop this layer straight down using my lovely new Tombow. Love having a new Tombow, and I love having a new sheet of dimensionals. Now, what is going on with me today? Got a little mark there as well. Look, there's nothing on my hands. I have to hide that with something. You know the phrase, happy accident? That is ink. I don't even know where that came from. Yeah, the phrase happy accident. You know, there's always something good that comes of a little mistake. So your Night of Navy layer, let me measure this for you in case you want to, if you're on the replay and you haven't purchased my kit and you'd like to have a go yourself. This measures 2 inches by 5 inches. Now we've got a little flag tail going on the bottom of here, and I've used our triple banner punch. So I'm just going to pop this one in. And I'm not going to push it right in because it's going to make it shorter than I want it to be. But I'm just going to bring it to the point where it will cut. I'm going to have to tilt it so that I can see. And I hope that that is central. That's not too bad. And we can pop this layer down over to the left side of the card. If you want to put it in the middle, like that, that's totally fine. But for mine, it's kind of hanging over to the left. Is that straight? What are you up to, Alfie? You having a lie down on your bed now? Deciding to lick his paws. Okay. Then this layer here. On my original, I stuck this flat, but you know I love a little bit of 3D. So let's just pop some mini dimensionals on the back. Spread them out nice and evenly so we don't get any rocking or sagging with this layer. Took that one off. And we're going to add this one down here. Roughly just a bit down from the top, not halfway down, just a bit down. So next layer is our DSP. I don't like that side as much. I'm definitely going to use this one. And this is going to just go centrally on this layer. So I'm just going to pop Tombow in the middle because we've got the end pieces overhang. I'm a bit high, sorry guys, I'm not looking at my Mac. I'm going to pop this centrally. Like that. So it lines up with the edge of the soft sea foam. Did I just move it then? Like that. I'm a bit low now, aren't I? Okay. And next, we need to grab our butterflies. My pen just flew out of my pot then. And I'm just going to trim around as neatly as I can, because if you just snip these, I'll go over it after. If you just snip them straight off, you're going to get quite a rough edge. So you've got all of those lovely pieces to use on another project. And I will say, looking at my Mac, at what you can see, this looks really pale. And I think that's partly because of my light. It's not actually as pale as it's coming across on the camera. Any more rough edges? A bit of a rough edge over there. Now, next to go down would be this lovely little framed label, like a little label with a pretty border around it. I've honestly used this stamp, this actual stamp, so much. Now if I bring this low, really low, I've got a plan, guys, to hide that bit there. Straight would be good. My strip is a bit too low. If I can come a bit lower. Eek! Might just be able to hide that little accident over there. And next to go on would be this little strip. Now, in an ideal world, I would like to have gone a bit higher, but I want to hide up that little smudge. So I'm just going to snip off this and roughly about like that. And then just put a bit of Tombow along the centre where it's going to attach to this label. And then we'll hover that quite low, just so it hides my little smudge. We'll take the eye away from it, like that. Little tip, when you're mounting this stamp on your block, you can see, because the centre of it is cut out, there's quite a bit of movement in the actual stamp itself. So when I'm mounting it, I like to lay it down onto my grid paper and have it kind of square. I know it's a rectangle, but have the edges all straight before I pop it on my block. So that's always a good little tip when you've got stamps that have the centre cut out. And the centre is cut out for a reason, because if it wasn't, you would probably get ink on that centre part, which is why they've kind of cut it out, which is good. Okay, probably got ink on me then. So our little butterfly, and I think he would look nice with a bit of dark. Where's my other one? Because he would pop a bit. He would pop a bit. I do believe I've given you some Night of Navy. So you could get a bit of Night of Navy cardstock, draw around your butterfly, and then cut out another layer so it's behind and it stands up. Do you understand what I mean? Let me cut you one and show. So in the die set, you also get this individual butterfly die, which cuts out this one. Let me go to my scrap box and pull out, hopefully I've got a piece big enough. And what I'm going to do is just die cut a butterfly quickly and layer it behind, just to show you what it would look like, just to help it pop a bit. So if you've got the dies, you can do this. If you didn't get the dies, just draw around the one that you've originally cut. And give it a little curl. And then when you layer them, can you see, just get a bit of depth behind, which just makes that butterfly pop out a bit. I'm going to stick with my original plan, but just to show you the options. So I'm going to leave that one there. What I may do when my ink refill arrives is just pull this butterfly off and re-stamp another. So he's just going up there in the corner. He's just taking off in flight. So next, we're going to add in our little greeting. I'm going to pop that, yes, more dimensionals. Goodness me. I'm not very conscious about postage costs, am I? And then I'm going to lay that one on that Rococo Rose strip, like that. And then the leaves that we die cut, I'm going to pop a couple. Don't know if I want the larger ones. Just coming out, these two I think, like that. So a little bit of Tombow, only a smidge. And I'm going to steal some for that piece. And then I'm going to put them under here. Mine were under the other layer, but because I brought this little frame down a bit lower, there we go. He's flying away, that butterfly. So there we go. Quite simple. Just checking comments and whether we are focused. I do continually click to refocus. So here we go. Quite a simple card, nothing too tricky, no fussy cutting today, unless of course you don't have the die, and then that's just a simple bit of cutting. So let's do something on the inside. So grab your insert. Now obviously, as I said, there are no greetings in this stamp set, but I thought I would show this stamp set here, which is from, let's just wait for that to come into shot and I will show you it in the celebration. Just going to zoom a little bit if I can. I'm going to wobble. The whole zoom thing, guys, is tricky. It lets you zoom in. I can't do it. I think you can see the stamps. So this is called Heal Your Heart. It's another free item from the celebration brochure. It's got some really nice greetings in here. Absolutely love it. I think, sadly, we're losing people that we love or we know, and I think to send a card just offers, you know, a little bit of thought in their direction and just a little bit of light when they open a card that's been handmade by someone they know or they love. So this is from the celebration brochure. You can find it on page 9. It's a lovely set. Are there any more? No, that's the other set there. I just wondered if there were any more samples on here. So a really good greeting set. Yours free with a £45 order. And I'm just going to use the thank you. And I haven't used this set yet, so it's a perfect opportunity. I'm going to pull that one up. I can feel a sneeze coming as well. Find a block. And I think just in the memento. Now, because this is a new stamp, I'm going to ink it off a couple of times just to make sure. I always find with a brand new stamp that maybe during manufacturing there's some kind of, I don't know, I just feel it needs to be inked up and stamped off first before you use it, because you almost don't get a full covering of ink when you first ink it up. So with that in mind, let's just think about how square this comes out. And I think it's quite a forgiving one, so I'm just going to stamp it down. And if it's on a crook, I've got the emergency side. When I say it's quite forgiving, I mean because of the script and the font, if you were a little bit crooked, it wouldn't really show because it's quite flancy and flowy. Isn't that beautiful? I just love that. So let's move my mat out of the way. Put the lid on the memento so that I don't dunk anything in it. And then pop this on the inside and cover over that smudge that I made earlier. There's no better excuse than to send a thank you card for something simple that someone's done for you. I just think it's such a lovely gesture. So there we go, that's the first card done for this round. Hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you for all of you joining me. How are we doing for time? Just gone 10 to 11. I've got a couple of things I want to show you. So let us close up ink pads. So if you're catching me on the replay and you like what you are seeing, you like the look of these stamps, you like the look of the colours of the inks, you can order with me online via my online shop. If you go to my website here, kerrytims.co.uk, you can view the catalogues online. But if you would like a copy in the post, if you don't already have a demonstrator that you shop with, then please do get in touch. I would love to help you out and guide you in the direction of beginning your stamping experience. And of course, we have great offers at the moment with Celebration, where you can earn free gifts. And there's no better time to join Stampin' Up as well, because we have extra free gifts from Stampin' Up, not from me. Extra free gifts when you join my team as well at the moment. So, and that's such great value. It's £99, you get £130 worth of product. It ships to your door free. And you get to choose all of those products as well. So, Belle, you're told they're injection moulded in rubber. So there's a release agent sometimes left on the rubber, so priming them. Yes, I think that was the word I was kind of thinking of. There's something sort of, some kind of primer on there. But it always, when you've got a brand new stamp, particularly more with photopolymer, I find, you ink it up and then it's almost like the ink wants to repel. So, yeah, always give new stamps a little ink first. So this was Stampin' Chat. First card done of 5 weeks. I wanted to share something else today. I've been playing. I've been waiting for product to come. And I've been playing for new things with new things in preparation for classes. And I saw this lovely picnic basket on Erica Serwin's blog. And by the way, she has just reached $1 million in sales, so congratulations to her. So I was itching to have a go with this. I don't have my strawberry stamps and punch yet. I believe it's called Sweet Strawberry. Let's move that and I'll bring it back in. Let me find it. So it's here. I think this would make such a lovely class. I don't have this set yet, but I think this is just crying out for the basket. So while I am waiting, I thought I would get out the products from the Celebration brochure. Let me find it. So this is a free bundle. When you spend £90, you can choose the Berry Blessings stamp set along with the designer series paper for free. And I think that's just fabulous. The papers are gorgeous. I will show you those in a moment. But here's what I created. So, you know, me and Poppy Parade do not have the best love affair. It's quite a bright colour for me. I'm promising I will play with some of the red papers in the pack. But I broke myself in gently and I created these, which I thought if they were in the strawberry colours, they would make such a nice little class. So watch out for this coming soon. I could be going live and showing you how to make some of these. So I did a lot of fussy cutting. Still got loads over here. Been doing lots of fussy cutting. Where's my stamps? Right by the side of me. So this is the stamp set here. So I've been fussy cutting leaves and blueberries, I suppose. Are they blueberries? And the colours in the paper are Pacific Point, but I've stamped mine off. I didn't want it too strong. I'm so weak, aren't I, with colour? So weak, such a weakling. I like all the soft subtles. So this is a stamp set. It's fabulous. And these aren't actually true size. They're only shown at 90%. So, Belle, sorry, I'm just reading comments. You like Erica Serwin? Yeah, I do. I love watching her live. She's very inspiring. And as I said, the basket design came from her. And I've just used my own colours, and I chose different stamps from this set because I hadn't inked up this set yet and I was itching to sort of play with it. So I did use my blending brush to soften. So this was Whisper White, and I used my blending brush with Crumb Cake just to soften it a bit, and use my scissors to kind of scruff up the edge on here. So trying to disguise the brightness of the paper underneath, but I also made these as well using the kind of rich raspberry version. So I've had really fun playing with that, and I noticed earlier that I've stuck that one upside down. I'm gonna have to pull it off and put it back around the right way. So yeah, I've really enjoyed playing with it, and there's no splat in it. The little splat here is from another stamp, but yeah, just love it. I think it's really good fun. So I'm going to hopefully be doing some lives and showing you how to make these projects as well. What else is coming up? Let's pop those all back in the basket, because everything lives in a basket here in the studio. I try to keep as organised as possible. Got some other, oh, I was going to show you the papers before I go. Look, just look at the strawberries. I need to get out my Poppy Parade ink, don't I? And get inking. Look at that, like, it's like strawberry pips, isn't it? And these, I suppose, raspberries, would you say? So, beautiful. They're stunning, really stunning papers. Really usable. Could fussy cut these out as well. Just love. Aren't they gorgeous? So you like the picnic basket? You'd love to know how to make one. Okay, I will share that with you. I will either do a class and go through how I've done that. I will have a think on it. I need my strawberry products to arrive so that I can play, because obviously you need to be able to recreate what I'm doing. So yeah, the papers, let's just give them a flip. They're awfully bright for me, guys. I mean, the Pacific Point is not a colour that comes out from my stash very often, but love them. Absolutely love. So watch this space for that. And just quickly, because today is all about the floating and fluttering, just a couple of projects. Some of you may have seen these, using my lovely Just Jade. Just how beautiful these butterflies and the stamped leaves are. So I have used the Always in My Heart on these as well. Can't zoom me back in, guys. I'm trying, but it's not happening. Yeah, so absolutely love playing with this set. Lots of possibilities. So thank you all for joining me this morning. I've had such fun. It's just nice to have some company here in the studio with me. I'm going to head over to the house, grab myself some breakfast because my stomach's rumbling. And then get on with the rest of my day. I've got lots of planning to do, and it looks like I'm going to be planning a class based around this picnic basket, with thanks to Erica Serwin, of course, because of her measurements. I don't know whether I will tweak it and make it any different because it's quite a usable size. And just to add, they do both come up and you can pop treats in there as well. So how cute, how cute. Okay, I'm gonna love you and leave you. I will have a lovely day planning. Thank you, Belle. It seems like planning ahead is happening well here at the moment while product is arriving. So take care, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I love having you on here, and I will be back with you very soon. So bye for now.